You are not young anymore. If you're over 30 and haven't gotten married, that's all that's left here. It doesn't sound good if you tell me about it. Why are you still so stubborn? The slightly shrill woman's voice pierced the darkness and reached the eardrums, awakening Zhou Jia from his sleep. Slowly opening his eyes, the early autumn midday sun shone on him through the dark brown car window glass, making him reluctant to move because of its warmth. The trees outside are lush and the light and shadow are mottled. The mountain roads are rugged, the ground is unstable, and the ups and downs of the bus are more likely to lull you to sleep. He had just woken up and his consciousness was still a little blurry. Only the nagging voice of the woman 2 rows away in front could be heard constantly. You think I don't want to get married? Isn't it because I haven't found the right one yet? The voice that sounded again was clear and clear, not old-fashioned at all. Didn't find the right one? The woman said in a slightly unhappy voice. Tell me about you. It has been several years since you graduated. Not to mention marriage, have you ever brought a boyfriend home for your parents to meet? There is no suitable one. I think you are not looking for him at all. Don't think second aunt is nagging. You must take this matter to heart. I know. The young woman's voice was a little impatient. She moved and turned her face towards the aisle. Zhou Jia moved his gaze and could see the woman's side face from his direction. Very delicate, with a little baby fat. Already over 30? I really can't tell. The woman obviously did not intend to give up her persuasion. Your neighbor Shally is about the same age as you. I heard that she is pregnant with her 3rd child. No. Why not? Wouldn't you know if you go back and take a look? There is also Ming Shui, who is also in college and has already married a wife. It's not easy for your parents to drag you along. They're already quite old now. You can't let them continue to worry. Finding a partner is a serious matter. What's the point of hanging out with those kittens and puppies all day long? They are all beasts. Second aunt, I won't be happy if you say that. Cats and dogs are also spiritual. You're not happy yet. The woman straightened her body and said, if it weren't for those cats and dogs pestering you all day long, you said you couldn't find a partner? Do you still expect them to support you in your old age? Your parents are quite angry because of this. Okay. The young woman looked helpless and unwilling to continue to struggle with this. Didn't I already agree to go on a blind date? Do you call that a blind date? What you call perfunctory? Speaking of this matter, the woman's voice became even more urgent. Although Lao Qian's children are average-looking, they have good tempers, are tall, and have good jobs in big cities. Could you please tell me what you have? Leave someone there and act like a young lady. Shouldn't others just tolerate you? That can't be casual, right? Marriage is a lifelong event. Of course I have to find someone I like and has the right personality. If he's not suitable, why should I waste my time on him? What does it mean to be pleasing to the eye? What does it mean to have a suitable personality? How can one be 100% suitable? Your mother has such a good temper. Haven't you had any quarrels with your father in so many years? Didn't they get along slowly? You have to change your temper first. Should I change? Do I have to accommodate others? They are not my parents. The young woman's eyes widened, her face full of stubbornness. What is accommodation? The 2 people grew up in different environments, and they must each have their own habits. Living together will inevitably lead to bumps and bumps. Isn't it right for both to give in? If no one gives in, or only one person gives in, life will not go on sooner or later. The woman obviously has rich experience in this area, and she persuaded her earnestly. Second, and didn't tell you to make do with it. She just wanted you to understand the truth. Your parents are getting older, and you'll have a lot of burdens in the future. You will definitely not be able to do it without someone to help you. Also, when living with others, you should calm down your temper. This is not called grievance, but growing up. You know, husband and wife are the closest relatives. Not even parents can compare. Since you are willing to come back for a blind date for your parents, Isn't it normal for you to change your temper for the sake of your partner? Humph. The young woman curled her lips. Error 500, server error. 1500, that's an error. There was an error. Please try again later. That's all we know. Think about your grandpa and grandma. Do you think your mom is kissing your dad or your grandma and grandpa? Your dad is so filial. Isn't it because your mom dares to quarrel with your grandma? Error 500, server error. 1500, that's an error. There was an error. Please try again later. That's all we know. This time, the young woman did not speak, and the expression on her face was a little blank. It was obvious that she had never considered this. But more importantly, I am still impatient. How wonderful it is to be single. Looking up out of the window, Zhou Jia was thoughtful. The woman's words reminded him of Eight Arrivals by Li Jilin, a female poet from the Tang Dynasty. The closest relatives are husband and wife. It is true that husband and wife are the closest relatives in the world, but they can also be estranged. With his thoughts turning, he subconsciously took out his phone. The familiar smiling face that lit up on the screen also made him purse his lips and curl his eyes. Fortunately, I am lucky. No need to be pushed into marriage. After unlocking the screen, a series of WeChat prompts made him couldn't help but rub his temples and sighed softly before clicking on the messages inside. Junior brother, I don't understand this question. Where is the information you mentioned? Why can't I find it? Sure enough, Zhou Jia's major is classical literature, and he also majors in language and literature. His career direction is a bit narrow, so he asked his senior sister in the same department to help him find a job. He has a very good relationship with his senior sister, not only in terms of work, but he also met his current girlfriend through his senior sister. Senior sister Huang Tingting has a straightforward personality and a wide network of friends. Perhaps because her skills were focused on making friends when she was born, Huang Tingting's slowness in learning is simply outrageous. I chose to major in language and literature. Zhou Jia is quite talented in language, and over time, he became Huang Tingting's favorite activity searcher and answer key. The answer is in the video copy that the teacher sent last year, so you can translate it yourself. You need to use your membership to check the information, so borrow it from a colleague. Forget it. I'll send you my membership number and check it yourself. It didn't take long for a reply to come. I still don't understand this question, smiley face. Study. Zhou Jia replied with a single word expressionlessly. After thinking about it, he finally sent the answer and at the same time pointed out the ideas for solving the problem, hoping that the other party would know how to get the answer. But I think Huang Tingting is too lazy to understand. Thanks. The result was as expected. Judging from the time of reply, the student should have directly skimmed the document and only looked at the final answer. Shaking his head, he put away his phone and looked forward. The argument was over. The woman was resting sideways, while the young woman was scrolling through her phone. Outside the window. Zhou Jia was stunned. Why is it foggy? He passes this mountain road several times a year, and it has never been foggy. Moreover, if this mountain road is foggy, it will be very dangerous. After thinking for a while, he looked in the direction of the driver. Master, it's foggy, be careful. Pum. Before he finished speaking, a loud bang interrupted his voice, and at the same time a huge force came from the side, throwing him directly towards the car window. Boom. Zhou Jia's eyes only felt blurry, and the next moment, severe pain came from his left arm and then appeared all over his body, and his forehead seemed to have a cut. Immediately afterwards, crash. Bang. The car window shattered, countless glass shards flying in front of the eyes, and the figures in the car rolled back and forth like rag dolls in a blender. There were even ferocious branches that appeared from nowhere and tore apart the carriage and penetrated into it. Some people not only dodged, but were directly pierced through their bodies by the branches, wailing in pain. Warm blood spurted out, accompanied by frightened screams, and scattered on the not-so-clean car seat. Something unexpected happened. Roll over? Roll down the mountain? Am I dying? The sudden change made Zhou Jia's mind go blank while he was in chaos, and even the pain in his body became numb, allowing his body to roll back and forth in the car involuntarily. Collision. The frightened and shrill screams in my ears became less clear, and everything seemed so unreal. Only the thumping heartbeat was extremely fast. I don't know how much time passed. Maybe it was just a moment. Maybe a long time passed, but the car stopped rolling, and Zhou Jia also landed heavily on his seat. The soul seemed to return to its original position at this moment. What's going on? Someone stammered, his voice trembling. The car must have rolled over and rolled down the mountain. Zhou Jia gritted his teeth and endured the severe pain all over his body. He took out his mobile phone from his arms with difficulty and tremblingly pressed the emergency number. Fuck, no signal. Dog, no. There is a wolf. One wave has not subsided, and another wave has arisen. Suddenly, a woman's scream came from the front of the carriage, followed by a burst of noise. Zhou Jia subconsciously raised his head, his vision blurred by severe pain passing over the mess in the car, and landed on a wolf's head covered with black fur sticking out from the crack in the car. The crack was not big, but the wolf's head was shaking wildly, pushing open the surrounding iron sheets, and squeezed into the bus little by little. Hiss! Zhou Jia's eyes shrank, his breathing stagnated, and his face was as frightened as the other survivors. What is this? But behind the wolf head, what follows is not the body that a wolf should have, but human-like arms, chest, abdomen, and legs. It is a monster with a wolf head and a human body. This is... what? 002 wolf-headed monster. The black hair is like steel needles, with a pair of narrow, wild eyes hidden in it. The fangs protrude from the wide mouth, making it extremely ferocious. Between the interlaced canine teeth, a trace of saliva slowly dripped. The wolf head moves freely. So, this is not a hood. The monster with the head of a wolf, and the human body straightened up. It was 1.5 meters tall. It was covered with a simple animal skin, which covered the indecent areas, but could not hide the strong muscles visible to the naked eye. Just standing there was a sense of pure power coming over me. It stood in front of the gap and looked around the entire carriage. It made a ho-ho sound in its mouth. Its throat rolled rapidly, its long tongue trembled with excitement, and its eyes were full of greed. Food. All fresh food. The next moment, the wolf-headed monster rushed forward and pounced on an old man sitting next to him. It opened its mouth wide and bit the old man's throat with its sharp teeth. Just a tear caused the skin and flesh to crack, the neck to twist, and the head to hang softly to the side. The old man was already dying and unable to move, but now he couldn't die anymore. His hands instinctively twitched a few times, and then he completely lost his life. The monster's throat rolled, with an excited look on its face, as it devoured its flesh and blood as if no one was watching, and the sound of chewing into pieces of flesh and bone made everyone present feel horrified. Ah! How terrifying is the scene in front of me. The screams pierced the tranquility. Some people cowered and backed away, while others looked frightened. Zhou Jia, who was sitting behind, also looked pale and at a loss. The scene was chaotic. Driver! In panic, someone yelled subconsciously, and when they turned around and looked over, they couldn't help but feel a chill in their hearts. The driver's position had long been covered by branches and dead vines, with only a twisted arm covered in blood hanging outside. He was probably dead. In the torn carriage, Branches and dead vines pierced from the outside were scattered and interspersed in an orderly manner. Under the infection of blood and minced meat, it looked particularly ferocious. In just a few moments, nearly half of the dozen or so people on the bus were dying, and some were even more miserable. This is a car accident. But not just car accidents. Ho ho! The strange screams continued. Ah! A female passenger near the front door screamed and got up from the ground. Regardless of her injuries, she staggered towards the crack in the front door. The closed car door became loose due to the unknown collision just now. If you squeeze it, it is enough for one person to get in and out. She wanted to get out of here, away from the man-eating monster. Woo. The wolf-headed monster that was eating the old man's body suddenly turned its head when it heard the noise. A cold light flashed in its eyes, pressed the seat in front of it with both hands, and jumped on all fours towards the woman. It castrated very quickly, and the woman was thrown to the ground as soon as she took 2 steps. The monster bit down hard, and a stream of blood came out. Brute. It wasn't until this moment that anyone came back to their senses from the panic. A middle-aged man nearby yelled and pushed open the branches that were pressing on him, roared and rushed towards the wolf-headed monster, raising his leg and kicking it hard. The man was nearly 1.8 meters tall, and his physique was not considered strong, but he still had an advantage over the 1.56 meter long wolf-headed monster. In addition, the monster was eating flesh and blood, and he was kicked on the back when he couldn't dodge. Pung! With a muffled sound, the wolf-headed monster just shook its body, but the middle-aged man's face was filled with pain, and his legs and feet twitched, and he staggered back. But his actions clearly annoyed the wolf-headed monster. Ouch! The monster looked back and shouted. Its eyes were piercing with cold light, and its sharp fangs were covered with minced flesh and blood. It turned around and hit it with its claws stretched out. The collision was so fast that no one had time to dodge. This monster not only has a wolf head, but its hands and feet are also similar to those of wild beasts. The middle-aged man's inferior suit was almost defenseless against the sharp claws, and a few tears would reveal blood, flesh, and bone stubble. Ah! The man was in pain, but his blood was aroused, and he advanced instead of retreating. He opened his hands and hugged the wolf-headed monster and rolled it towards the ground. At the same time he shouted, "Comes and help! Help, help!" A man and a monster were rolling around at his feet. The woman who was angry with her second aunt not long ago was so frightened that she couldn't move. She stammered and clung to the handrail with both hands. However, there were 2 people in front who wanted to help, but they were all injured. Even if they did come over, it would be too late. Call. At this moment, a strong wind came from behind. But I saw a tall figure striding forward, waving something in his hand and hitting the wolf-headed monster on the head. When? There was a loud noise, and Zhou Jia felt his palms numb and could hardly hold the pan in his hand. His whole body was shocked, and he took 2 steps back. Looking at the bottom of the pot, there was a dent. What a hard head! But his attack finally worked. The wolf-headed monster was blinded by the blow, and even stopped tearing at the middle-aged man. He just shook his head, trying to regain consciousness. Quick! A strange blush appeared on the man's face, and he shouted excitedly, "Come again! Take this opportunity to kill it, kill it!" As he spoke, he used all his strength to hug the wolf-headed monster and prevent it from breaking away. Zhou Jia calmed down and stepped forward again. Although he is a liberal arts student, he has never lacked exercise. He is a head taller than his peers and has a strong build. When he was in college, he was the main basketball player in the department. He gritted his teeth and this time aimed at the wolf's eye with the side of the pan and hit it hard. He also knew what the copper-headed and iron-tailed bean curd Wei said, but at this time, 1 person and 1 wolf were hugging each other, and only the wolf's head was easier to aim at. Puff! Those wild eyes suddenly exploded in front of him, and red and white splashed around, causing Zhou Jia to pause. After all, he is just an ordinary person. Where has he seen such a scene? To be able to take action, I have mustered up the courage. Ouch!